this summer before I was like interning in nightlife for Vegas and like working for the NFL. And like, I was like, I'm going to make it. Like, this is going to be sick. It's really hard to see progress like when you're in the thick of it.
Hello, my fellow Martians. My name is Harry Mars, and this is the On Mars Pod, where we take a deep dive into creative professionals, entrepreneurs, and other inspiring Martians alike. Today, we are joined by marketing professional and photographer, David Ritter.
You can't expect something to happen overnight. Like making 250 plus phone calls a day, like working from 5:30 to 3:30, like literally absolutely brutal, like hated it. So we definitely got some stories to tell, that's for sure.
Hello, my fellow Martians. Today on Mars, we have a marketing legend, one of my OGs in the film game, and one of my great friends. Everyone, welcome David Ritter. Thank you for being here.
Woo! What up, what up, what up?
So on Mars, we profile creative professionals in the game, entrepreneurs, and people inspiring other Martians alike. So that's why I brought you on today, because you are someone that inspires me, and I've worked with you professionally and creatively just on our own passion projects, and I've seen what you've done. And yeah, man, so you're just a perfect candidate for the people that I'd like to have on the show, man. So
I'm glad I fit the bill.
Hell yeah, man.
Yes,
No,
sir.
thank you.
We definitely got some stories to tell, that's for
Yes.
sure.
For sure, man. So overall, the experience that you've had and all of the years that you've been in the game, as they say, what is one thing that you know now that you would like to tell your younger self?
Yeah, I feel like the thing that everyone kind of says, and it's like really true, is just like you can't expect something to happen overnight. And like it's really hard to see progress like when you're in the thick of it. It's like one of those things that you like look back afterwards and realize like, oh shit, like I'm actually like doing stuff. I think you just need to like focus on those like small, minute tasks and like have goals for yourself. But at the end of the day, like unless you continue and be consistent with it, you're not really going to progress the way that you want. I think just in like today's society, it's very easy for you to see people that have like super quick fame. Like, they post one video and they're viral or whatever that may be, like, TikTok and Vine, which was better than TikTok in my opinion. But
Right.
just stuff
OG.
like that is like you don't necessarily have to be in that field to be successful. There's like a ton of other ways to go about it. And it's just kind of like finding your lane and see what works and just not giving up. And obviously, like, especially in the creative world, like, you can be super creative at certain times, but you go through your slumps and phases. And it's just like, for example, like I love photography. I shoot a lot, but recently I don't think I picked up a camera for fun other than like work related stuff in, I don't know, 6 months. So like
Yeah.
it definitely like comes and goes for sure. But just like knowing what you like to do and continuing to, push yourself and put yourself in those situations, it's going to allow you to grow and put yourself with other individuals that can kind of help push you and inspire you, because there's nothing worse than being around people that aren't I guess advocates for you, and they kind of just like bring you down, I guess.
Absolutely. I think that's really great advice for your younger self, my younger self, and
Oh yeah.
anybody else watching this, especially if you're creative of any kind, because those are really good points that you need to remember in any type of field, just in life. You can't think that anything that you do is going to happen overnight, or that like you're going to be like amazing tomorrow at something if you're not good at it right now, or like a lot of people feel like the imposter syndrome.
Oh,
And
100%.
and I think that's something that a lot of people that are in creative fields can relate to, when they're in rooms that maybe they feel like they shouldn't be in, but it's
Mhm.
just like you're supposed to be there right then and there.
Yeah.
There's a reason why you're there. So it's just like having the confidence in yourself at whatever place you are, where you feel like mentally. I think that's something huge, where like do you feel like you have a hold on that now a lot more than you did when you were younger? Is that why you chose that?
Yeah, I think too, and a lot of the thing is like, especially like the route I went, at least, like you have to make a lot of sacrifices. Like it's not like every day my job consists of, like, getting to do the fun creative stuff, like, you kinda have to, like, do some of the grunt work and, like, do other aspects that fit within that job to get to do the stuff that you like to do,
Right.
obviously to, like, make money, make ends meet, and stuff like that, but I don't know, I feel like in today's world, like, there's so many creatives out there that are just not necessarily appreciative, but, like, have to go the route that I guess that I took. Like, it's not like, "Oh, I get to shoot all these big campaigns for all these big companies, and I'm a freelancer, and I shoot with all these Instagram people and blah, blah, blah." It's like, "No, like, I got a job with, like, working marketing for a company, and it's all, like, in-house branding stuff," which is, like, a lot more localized that, may not have the, like, breadth that something like, those other people have, but, like, at the end of the day, like, it's still very transcribable between the 2. And, maybe one day we'll get to that point, but for now, I think, like, if you can just, like, tackle your city or, like, your, you know, area and do well at that, like, that's how you kinda get to where you are, and obviously some people everyone's on a different path, some people is earlier than others, but, I mean, I think you just have to be consistent and determined, and if you really want it, you'll figure a way out, and life
Yeah.
has a way of kind of landing it like, setting it in your lap, so to
Right.
speak, like, if the timing's right,
Totally. If you're
like
just focused on going like one step at a time, one foot in front of the other, rather than trying to like shortcut your way, it's
oh, for
like
sure.
life will like show you the way, kind of.
Yeah, cause like, senior year of college, like, the summer before, I was, like, interning in nightlife for Vegas and, like, working for the
Right.
NFL, and, like, I was like, "Oh, shit, like, I'm gonna make it, like, this is gonna be sick." Next thing you know, like, 2nd semester comes around, that stuff ends, like, still don't have a job lined up, like, I was, like, so hyper fixated on finding, like, the perfect job out of college, like, I literally didn't start working, graduated in May, didn't start working until November, and I took a sales job, like, making 250 plus phone calls a day, like, working from 5:30 to
Jesus.
3:30, like, literally absolutely brutal, like, hated it, um, and then, COVID came around, and it was more of a blessing for me because it got me out of that situation, and then, unemployed for a while during COVID, just, like, started working on my craft again, focusing on it. All of a sudden, I just see, like, marketing job pop up for a weed brand, and I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh, perfect. I've been smoking all day." So, next thing you know, they have all these questions. I took a bong rip and answered all the questions. I had an interview the next day, and it turns out the guy that hired me was super into film photography too, so I literally brought my T2, I pulled it out. He's like, "Oh shit, it's
You're
over there.
hired.
You're hired."
Yeah.
So, it's just
Ve-
crazy crazy how that works out.
So you mentioned when you were interviewing for that cannabis brand, your interviewer was into film.
Yes.
So why did you get into film, and why do you love it so much?
Yeah, I mean, at first, I was super like, my first camera I ever got was a digital camera. I got a Canon Rebel T2, and I got it because I used to skate with my homies, and
Yes.
not even regular skating, like
Longboarding. Yeah, yeah,
longboarding
yeah.
down hills
Still.
and,
It's all good.
the fake poser shit.
It's all
So,
good.
I just wanted to, like, film, like, my friends, like, my high school was, like, super into the art scene, so, like, I really wanted to take photography classes and do all that, so I kinda got into it through that, and then I kinda dabbled in it, so we had, like, 3 photography classes. It was, like, regular photo, advanced photo, and then AP photo. I did all 3 of those, but during advanced photo, we kinda, like, learned about film photography. It was cool. I didn't really, like, get into it too much, but then once college came around, I was, getting a degree in marketing, and I wanted to do more photo stuff, so I was, like, dual degreeing. I ended up dropping it because you don't really need a degree in photo to
Yeah.
kinda go the route I wanted. But I took, like, an entire film photography class. Like, we were in the dark room, like, doing all that kinda stuff, and I definitely got into it, but, I got my first camera, Canon 81, most people did that, mostly shot, like, black and white, dev my own stuff, because I don't know if a lot of dark rooms, like, do, at least now, like, hand color film, like, most of it's, like, through the processor and stuff like that,
Yeah.
but I don't know, there was just something about it. I really loved, like, the aspect of shooting, like, framing your shots and, like, finding, like, different unique perspectives on things, but I, like, hated the editing process. Like, when I shoot digital, like, I literally would just, like, buy a photographer's, like, preset or something and just, like, throw it over mine because I just, like I just hate that side of things. Like, I love the, like, capturing and, like, the perspective aspect of it, and that's, like, the thing I like about film is you just kinda, like, pick your film stock, and you have to, like, put the work in before to make sure your settings are all correct and your framing's all right, and then, like, once you shoot it, I mean, you can adjust a little bit here and there, but, like, nothing that you have to sit behind a computer screen. I just don't have the patience for that.
Absolutely, and
So, yeah.
you said you shot digital first before shooting film,
Mhm.
so that kinda gave you an opportunity to learn, like, settings, and were you obviously, majority of people were shooting on auto, at least, like, some type of auto settings to a certain degree, even if it was just, like, auto white balance and stuff
Yeah,
like
yeah,
those,
yeah.
like, things like that, but from the beginning, did you know about, or were you using, like, custom shutter speed, aperture, and ISO on digital because you learned about them in school?
No, more like YouTube and stuff. Like, obviously,
Okay.
like, you know, they would teach you that in, like, the
Yeah.
intro photo classes, they teach you that, but a lot of times people do, like, aperture priority or stuff like that. I
Yeah.
typically just shot in manual, kept my aperture where it was, and then adjust, like, the ISO and
Even from the
the
beginning
shutter.
then,
Yeah, like,
because I
I
feel
don't
like that's a
know.
good practice even, like,
For
knowing what I
sure.
know about photography now, like, I feel like that's a really good practice, especially if you have, like, a
No, definitely.
good
And I
lens.
think it too just, like, depends on what you're shooting. Like, obviously, if you're shooting, like, action, like, you know, you just have your shutter's gotta be really open.
Right.
I wasn't, like, super into shooting sports, like, I did, like, do some stuff with the NFL, which is really cool, but I also was, like, on the sideline with, like, a 50 millimeter on a full frame lens. Like, I was
Yeah.
shooting more, like, the behind the scenes rather than, like, the action itself. Um, but no, I like just, like I've always liked just the branding side of things and just, like, creating a campaign and a look, almost like staging it, and then, like, portraits working with people. Like, it's kinda easy. And then obviously, like, landscape's fun too, like, going and
Right.
traveling and doing stuff like that, but
Would you say for photography in general that it is important for, like, any young photographers watching this, any aspiring photographers, to learn, like, the exposure triangle, like, ISO
oh,
and
yeah.
or in film, it would be film speed.
Yeah.
So and then shutter speed and, aperture.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's pretty, like, a simple
It is simple,
it's
for
very
sure,
simple,
but
like
it's just, like, something that I think a lot of people overlook and, like
oh, for
and they,
sure.
like they abuse auto.
They just pick the camera up and be like, "Oh, it'll figure it out."
Yeah, or
Which
they
will
just,
get
like,
you.
auto ga 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 ga,
Yeah, and
auto everything.
that'll get you, like, to a certain degree, but then
Yeah.
once you get in those situations where, you know, it could miss, it's nice to just, like, set that. Or, like, for example, like, my mom directs pageants, and she forces me to, you know, take those photos, and, like, when you're inside and there's, like, custom lighting, like, the white balance is, like, so important.
Yep.
So whether that's, like, getting with the production team to know, like, what their light settings are so you can, like, change your white balance and make sure, like, you know, like, sometimes you're shooting inside and there's, like, these harsh, like, yellow lights, like, and if you don't adjust your white balance, you're gonna have that kinda yellow look the entire time, and that's not what you're going for.
Knowing your lighting, I think, is very important. Yeah, I think it's cool that you came into the game so young, still already knowing about, like, those settings and, like, knowing how to use things, and I mean, of
Mhm.
course, like, I'm sure you started with a limited knowledge of it, and then as you did it, you probably grew more and more and more,
Oh, yeah.
but then you were able to just translate that knowledge straight into film, so it's
Mhm.
just, like, same thing,
Yeah.
just the composition and then the process of actually, like, getting it developed, and that whole process was,
It's
like, the
definitely
other arm of it.
it's definitely cheaper to shoot digital, that's for sure.
100%.
Well, it's more of an initial upfront cost,
Yeah, of
and then,
course.
like, obviously, you know, you need 20 bucks a month for Lightroom, Photoshop, but
Yeah. But, with film too, something that we've talked about in the past that, a lot of people, kind of overlook is film, you have to be very intentional,
mhm.
because you only have a limited amount of exposures on a
Yep.
roll.
Yep.
With digital, you could just rifle it, ga 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 ga,
Mhm.
and,
Gaga.
hopefully you get something. Ga 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 ga.
Gaga.
But with the film camera, like you said, it's like you gotta, like, make sure your settings are right, like, make sure, like, everything is set before you shoot, and it's just like
Mhm.
and then once you shoot, it's just like, 1 and then crank, and then just, like, hope, like,
Ho
maybe do, like, another shot,
just
like,
in
just in
case.
case it
Yeah,
doesn't go right,
uh-huh.
but it's just like you can't do a double take every time because that
Mhm.
cuts your roll in half.
Like, if I was shooting like, for example, I did a shoot literally this week, for a campaign we're working on, and I shoot on a RZ67, which is medium format, and I only get 10 shots per
Right, because
roll.
that's 6x7.
Yeah, and if I was shooting digital, I would have probably taken, like, over 1,000 photos, and we were there for 2 hours, and we shot some Polaroid stuff here and there too, but, I shot 5 rolls, so I literally took 50 photos, and that's
Damn,
it.
that's crazy, bro.
Yeah.
I mean, but I'm sure that they were heat.
Of the 50, like, there was probably, like, 40 to 45, which were, like, good.
Hell yeah. I mean, that's great ratio.
Yeah, I've
Yeah,
gotten, like, very good at focusing with the RZ, like,
good.
especially on, like, products and, like, lifestyle stuff, which can be very difficult because people like to rush it,
Yeah.
um, but that's why, it was 100 degrees, I was drenched in sweat after because I hold my breath too much, but
Yeah. Hey, no, it's like a sniper, bro.
Uh-huh, and I'm like, "Why am I so gassed? I was barely doing anything."
You are holding a fucking tank too. The
Exactly, it's probably,
RZ67
like,
is not small.
15 pounds,
Yeah,
maybe.
it's
I don't
I
know if it's that
mean,
heavy.
it's
Well, with the
it's
prism on the
kinda
top,
yeah,
it's
with the
pretty
prism,
heavy.
it's heavy.
Oh, yeah.
This isn't on my notes, but I think for the layman people that do not understand the difference between 35 millimeter film and medium format film, 120, let's explain for the people why there's the benefit of shooting medium format over 35 millimeter when it comes to product photography, portrait shots, especially when it's going to be like blown up for
Yeah.
like large format print production, stuff like
100%.
that.
I mean, the basic like, the super simple way is, like, the negative is just way larger, so there's a lot more information, a lot more, like, memory on it, so to speak,
Right.
so you can like, it's just a bigger negative, you can blow it up a lot bigger, there's a lot more detail within the image, as opposed to a 35 millimeter, which you do get anywhere from, 26, 27 shots to 36, even 24 sometimes too, but the negative is just way larger. There's just a lot more memory in it, and that's why you only get a certain amount of shots for it. And I feel like if anything, medium format, you have to be even more intentional than
Absolutely.
35. Like 35s, your classic point and shoot, the stuff your parents probably used back in the day to take photos of their friends. I like the point and shoot too. I have one of those, but that's more of like I just bring that around with me and just
Casual
shoot,
shoot.
kind of shoot whatever.
Yeah.
Which I haven't done in a while, which if I don't, Nick is gonna kill me, so I will be doing that very shortly.
But it's like, but still with with the AE1, that's 35
Mhm.
millimeter like manual, fully manual camera, like the RZ is fully manual, but like to choose the RZ over the Canon, even though you could get that, is because it's a larger negative, so that way you just have more information. So when you blow it up, or even if you're using it on social media, just the detail is going to be a lot higher.
Mhm.
The quality and the sharpness is going to be visually a little bit cleaner than a 35 millimeter. Is that correct?
Yeah, and I think the big thing too with the RZ is, like, it's almost like an accordion where, like, you can get insane focus and, like, fixate on certain things and get super, super close to the product,
Yeah.
whereas, like, there's only you can only get so
So
close
close
with
with
the
the 35.
35.
Jinx, buy me a coat. Oh, snap, man, we're still saying the same thing. This is amazing. Carrots, pumpernickels, glow sticks, twins. That's dope, dude.
Yeah,
Yeah.
especially like that. I feel like a 35 is, like, a perfect, like, walking around type of camera. Like, yeah, you can do some good portraits depending on your lenses, but, like, most of my 35s, I have, like, a 35 millimeter on it, so it's, like, not
Pretty wide.
it's
Yeah.
pretty wide, it's more like I'm, like, more, like, documenting stuff, like, if I'm going on vacation or walking around a town or something that I haven't seen in a while, kinda stuff like that. Where,
Yeah.
like, the RZ is like, "Okay, I'm taking portraits, I'm doing product stuff."
Something that's more intentional.
Yeah, and obviously you can still get, like, great, landscape stuff with that too, but I don't know. Once you shoot medium format, you will understand it is just I like it so much better.
It's amazing. No,
Yeah.
for sure. I have Yashica,
Yashica.
what is that? Matte 124G.
Yeah, yeah.
I love that
6
thing.
by 6.
6x6, and I get
Mhm.
12 exposures,
Yeah, and then there's 645,
which is
16.
16.
Yeah,
Interesting.
like the
Mamiya.
Fuji GA
Mamiya has
645.
Mamiya has 645, yeah?
Yeah, they have 645, yeah.
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 Yeah, dude. Medium format. if anyone is like just learning about medium format now, just hearing about it now for the first time, wondering what 120 film means. Also, never call it 120 millimeter because it's not. And well, if you're just hearing about it, go fucking
Look it up.
look it up. Go get one. Look it up and figure it out because I think that's something that's gonna come back soon.
Mhm.
Because a lot of times, like a lot of these like cover arts back in the day, a lot of these magazine shoots back in the day, they were shot on medium format Hasselblads.
Yeah,
like,
and
yeah, like,
the RZ. Like
yeah,
a lot
RZ
of that was like a
huge.
studio camera.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like I feel like these things, the same way that like the AE1s and the consumer level 35 millimeters
Mhm.
kind of made a comeback. I think
K1000.
oh yeah, that K1000
I think
is,
it's a Pentax.
yeah, that is Pentax. Yeah, that's still a consumer level 35
Yeah,
millimeter. Yeah.
yeah.
But like that kind of level of camera like made a comeback. I think the medium formats will definitely make a comeback. Dude.
They do. I just don't know if there's it's not. I don't think as many of them were made. Just
Yeah.
because, they weren't like that consumer. It was more like, the professional style. You can still get them. I mean, I got mine from the original owner. They were made in the 80s. I used my stimulus check for it. Thank you, the government.
Stimmies.
Howard, shout out Howard for my camera.
Yeah, shout out Howard, bro.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, he gave you a pretty good deal on that.
Yeah. I think I paid for an entire kit, 3 lenses, a Polaroid back, which you can't even get film for anymore, a 220 back, also can't get film for anymore, and a 120 back. I paid $1,500.
Stupid.
And that was what,
That was
2
two-
years
yeah,
ago? 2
yeah.
years ago?
20
Now I use it. I had to get a new
2021.
lens and a new back just because, I used it so much. But
Yeah. So we haven't talked about when you went into college, because you went to college at U of A.
yeah,
So you lived on campus
yeah, for 3 years.
for
Yeah,
3 years
yeah,
in Tucson.
yeah.
So what was that experience like? And you said you were working for Hakkasan and you did work with the Arizona Cardinals while you were in college before you graduated?
Yeah, my senior year.
Oh, so
Yeah.
okay, so this was your senior year that you did that.
Yeah, so I mean, my freshman year, I lived like in the dorms like everyone else, joined a fraternity, did all that kind of stuff. Mostly just partied and
Yeah. Was it hard to have like a balance of school and personal life?
not for me. I don't know. Like I went to like a very good high school that kind of like forced me to just be better, I guess. I always just like had higher standards. My parents always had higher standards for me. So like I I definitely there was definitely a little bit of lack of effort. However, I think just like I was smart enough to pass with flying colors type of thing.
Yeah.
Obviously in college you kind of figure it out. There's test banks, there's all that other stuff to figure out. But yeah,
You said there's test banks, dog.
They didn't always work, but
8 times out of 10.
failed a couple tests, but it was all good. No, I think I graduated with like a 3.6. So I did well. But
Hell yeah.
no, I don't know. I feel like a lot of the times people are more so focused on extracurriculars than like college itself too. You're
Absolutely.
coming to a new school with new people that you don't really know. Once you're out of high school, a lot of people go to different colleges. Like I don't think like my best friends didn't go there, so I had to make new friends and stuff like
Yeah.
that. But it's funny because all my new friends literally grew up and lived like 20 miles from me growing like when I was in high school, which is just wild to think about.
That is crazy.
But yeah, then my sophomore year, I like interned with the director of photography for the Alumni Association. So we would like go out and shoot like stuff around campus or like anything that was like school related, whether that's like interviews, like video interviews,
So this was
or
your first like photography gig. In a way.
yeah, I would say, other than like doing senior photos or anything like that.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, so like I would go and do like different campaign work with him, whether that's like headshots or video interviews or going out to, we didn't go Biosphere, but we went out to like the agriculture school and like filmed a bunch of stuff for like the Alumni Association magazines. So I learned a lot from that. But I feel like I wasn't really like into it. I was more just like worried about like hanging with the frat dudes and getting drunk and stuff like that.
Yeah,
But
like what were you gonna do after you done with the shot?
exactly, and I was always
Yeah,
like hungover going in there. I'm like, oh, I don't want to be here right
yeah,
now. Like I didn't work that many like days a week, but
yeah.
there was a golf cart which was sick. I got to drive around and act like
Nice.
I was the shit. But
Act like I was the shit. Yo, I
um,
mean, so going into college, you knew that you wanted to be in the creative world, in marketing,
yeah,
kind of to a certain degree.
yeah.
So, I mean, I think that's really important going into it, knowing what you want to do, because you ended up actually like
Doing
doing that.
exact
Yeah, and like
yeah.
that's huge, right?
Like I knew what I wanted to do, but like I knew like kind of a direction. I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do or like
Right,
where I was gonna be. All I know
right,
is I wanted to be in marketing and I wanna do something creative with it.
right.
Like I wanted to like use my like passion for photography and have that translate into like marketing in some sense. Because my entire family, like my dad, my sister, they're both like they're sales. They work in sales. And like
Yeah.
that's just like not really my speed. Like I need to have some sort of like creativity or like thought process behind stuff. Um and kind of just like fell in my lap. Like in-house branding, advertising is kind of like the perfect fit. So
Yeah. Man, I feel like that's like such a leg up like when it comes to like your own personal development after college and during college too because it's like you're working towards the same goal the whole time. Like it's not like cuz so many people like they'll start college not really knowing what they want to do and then like don't do these like extra opportunities like that in a field that they'd like to be in. So cuz I feel like even though that was something you were going into hungover and it was like at the time you were not really taking too seriously.
mhm.
I think it's super foundational to who you ended
Oh,
up becoming,
for
you know.
sure. For sure.
But it's like people that don't know what they want to do, they don't get those opportunities because they're not putting themselves in that position because maybe they
Mhm.
don't know that they want to do that. But it's like I think they're at such a disadvantage when it comes to going to school at all because it's just like you're going for nothing basically where it's just like
Mhm.
if you're not going for something that you can apply in the real world after college, then it's almost like, why are you going? Like, that's how it feels to me.
Yeah, like a check the box type of thing.
Yeah.
And I just think too, just like a lot of my friends, like, yeah, we like to go do all that stuff, but we all like had that drive. Like we all know what we wanted to do, and like we weren't gonna just like we're like, we can do all this stuff, but we can still like get to where we want to be.
Yeah, and I guess, like, to kinda, like, I guess, play both sides, like, going to college for the experience of college, that's cool too,
Mhm.
if that's what you wanna
Yeah,
do,
yeah, yeah.
and, like, if you wanna have, like, the social aspect and, like, the networking aspect, and, you know, sometimes that could be something very beneficial to you as well, like, you can start companies in college with friends that you meet out there, you know, with people that are, you know, you can maybe find things about yourself that you didn't know about yourself, you know, find your real passions
Mhm.
from not knowing what you wanted to do. So I guess there is benefits that can be taken from it as well. But I think if you go through it and like don't explore the world of college and like don't take advantage of like social activities and like extra stuff opportunities and if you're just going just to check the box and like say you went to college and like you didn't make any connections at all and you learn and you have like some degree that you're never going to do anything with, it's just like dude, you just have like so much debt like that you can never get
Yeah.
rid of. And
Yeah.
like, I don't know. I think going for it, it's just like you put yourself in a position where every time you apply for a job, that degree that you have is 100% relevant.
Oh, for
It's just
sure.
like,
And it's funny though, because still a lot of people. I think it's changing, but definitely like a lot of people still like require you to have that. A lot of jobs. Um, But yeah, dude, I mean, I was very blessed to not be in debt. I went in state, I got scholarships. Luckily, parents had money to set aside for something like that. So, I mean, I think it's just honestly like a lot of it comes down to just like how you were raised, and a lot of the time too, if you had parents that were like super controlling and stuff, this is like their first time of like being out and about, and they just go wild and crazy and don't have their priorities set straight. And yeah, I mean, I think if you just know what you're going into, obviously those people that are studying like medicine and stuff like that, who don't really have crazy extracurriculars, but like you need to like you're
yeah,
studying 24/7 if you're
it's,
doing stuff
yeah.
like that.
Those types of careers you need to go to school.
Yeah,
If
but
you're gonna be a doctor, if you're gonna be a
yeah.
dentist, something like that, I think it's like
But
totally.
if you go to business school, like, dude, everyone in business school was
Yeah, that
drinking,
or
like,
like general
nonstop,
business,
like, or, like, communications, like, if you're not doing extracurriculars, like, you're gonna graduate and have no idea what you wanna do,
right.
and you're
That
gonna
shit's
take
so
some
tough.
corporate-ass job that you're
Or
gonna hate,
not.
or not,
Or you can't even get
or
one.
you go work at, like, a retail store,
A retail
or you
store
become a
or like
bartender,
yeah,
like,
or yeah, exactly, or a
we don't need
stripper.
to even get
Or you start an
yeah,
OnlyFans.
uh, feet finder, whatever you wanna call it.
Feet finder.
But dude, that's the thing, like, a lot of people they work in these restaurants and they just get so, like, obsessed with tip money.
Yeah, for
Like, they
sure.
get so obsessed with
With
that,
that life,
that
yeah.
if they don't go into, like, sales or something like that, like, they're never like, there's so many people that just, like, don't ever leave the restaurant world
For
because it's
sure.
just so easy.
We're talking about partying and stuff like that, but and you know the opportunity you had to work with the alumni, but you were given an opportunity to work in Las Vegas with the Hakusan group.
Yes.
So what was that opportunity, and how did you come across that?
So it was essentially I was just a marketing intern for the summer. So I basically did everything from organizing photos to building PowerPoint decks to sitting in meetings, and just kind of like getting a whole understanding of what the world is.
Mm-hmm.
And it's definitely something different, let me tell you. Like
You
it,
wouldn't want to be in it
oh
like full
no.
time.
No, I mean, I thought it was really I think it's fun, but I'm not necessarily like a night owl. Like
Yeah,
after like 3 months of it, like I was like, "Oh,
tough.
I definitely want to come back." I loved the people that I worked with. Like we were super close. Like I still talk to them to this day. And they were super supportive and they're all like, "Oh, you don't want to come back here. Like you're going to get some big boy job and blah blah blah." But it's really cool, like, the benefits are definitely there, like, the pay is okay, but, like, the benefits are there, like, oh, you get to go to all these shows and these nice dinners and get all this free alcohol and all these, like, party favor type stuff, not drugs, but,
Right.
like, all there's, like, so many
It is
events and
Vegas.
creative events that they put on, and, next thing you know, you'd have some custom bottle with your name on it or a cigar box or a candy crane, like, with your name on it or something like that, just for, like, invitations for all these, like, industry events, which was really, really cool to see. Um, at the time, I was dating this girl, her dad worked there,
Oh,
or he
nice.
worked, in just, like, hospitality, so he kinda hooked it up with that.
That's cool.
Um, so
Connections.
definitely blessed for that. It was a great experience. They actually offered me a job after college, however, it just really the pay just wasn't there, and I didn't wanna move from Phoenix to Vegas,
Totally.
and I'm glad I didn't because of COVID and all that other stuff, but still talk to him to this day, like, definitely had opportunities arise to go back there, but I just kinda like where I'm at right now, so,
Yeah. I
but
mean, everything happens for a reason,
oh, for
like they
sure.
always say. So it was a cool experience, but you had your time with it,
Mhm.
and you guys are done now.
Yeah, but and the cool part too is, like, we got to I'd go to the clubs, like, probably every Friday night because 'cause they're only open, like, 3 days a week. So I worked at, Jewel nightclub, which is at the Aria, and they have Liquid, which is also at Aria, which is, like, a day club.
That's all
Um
owned by Hakusan.
yeah, well, it is, now it's Tao Group. So
Oh,
during
okay.
COVID, everything kinda consolidated and condensed,
Okay.
but,
It was Hakusan.
yes, yeah. And they had, like, a nightlife division, and then they had a restaurant division. So, just, like, hospitality as a whole. And
Yeah.
they had restaurants all over. There's restaurants in Cabo and
Oh,
nightclubs
wow.
in,
So it wasn't
like,
just Vegas.
Bali and stuff like that, but Vegas was, like, the main hub.
Yeah.
Because I think the first Hakkasan was in London. It was, like, a restaurant. Um, but no, it was super cool, like, got to meet, like, these reps from Don Julio. We had, like, dinner with, um, Lil Jon.
Oh, shoot.
Don't ever ask Lil Jon to take his glasses off. Like, if you Google that, you'll
You look crazy.
yeah, he look a little crazy, dude.
I'll put a picture right here.
Like, we did a whole video shoot we did a whole video shoot with Brody Jenner, like, walking around all day, like, super nice guy, like, all based on, like, his shoey. Like, he takes, like, pours beer in a shoe and drinks it. So went to a shoe palace and bought a
Oh
pair of
my
shoes and, like,
god.
filmed him doing that, like, it was
Out of a new
fun.
shoe?
Yeah, out of a
Oh,
new shoe,
nice.
and then he just, like, gave
Oh,
the
that's
shoe
pretty cool.
away after. So it was cool, it
Nice.
was a good
It's
time.
all soaked in beer.
But yeah, and then as soon as that ended, I had to drive back, like, my last night, we went to the nightclub and, like, we had some fun, we had some dinner, all that
Your last
stuff.
night?
My very last night in Vegas, And then I had to get up early the next morning and drive back to Phoenix to pick up some stuff because I was starting to do the NFL thing. So I was
Dang, so one led right into
like
the
we're
other.
directly into the other. So I was just
Whoa.
like kind of riding that high.
Yeah.
Um,
And how did the NFL, like, was that through school?
no, so obviously like another connection.
Through your girl?
No.
Just another person?
Yeah, yeah.
Dude,
So like
Davey's
I
connected.
know. My family,
Damn.
yeah, I had a bunch of family friends, one specifically who worked for the Cardinals. And I was constantly reaching out to her, like, what can I do? Like, I'd love to get an internship, like, because I wanted to be like in the sports world, not necessarily
Shooting?
the other world. Yeah,
Like,
yeah. Well,
yeah,
just marketing in
like
general or like
sports side?
media stuff.
Or
And so the
sideline?
NFL that year released this new program called the LCC program, which is like live content correspondent or corresponder or something like that. And essentially, what they would have is they'd have two media people stationed per stadium for the NFL. That way, like the media teams wouldn't have to travel as much. So we would we'd meet with someone at the NFL who was like our manager, and he would send us a list from both the teams, like this is the shot list, this is what they want captured, and we would basically get content, take it live on the field, whether that's social stuff, the walk-ins, stuff during the game, like iPhone footage of someone scoring, anything like that, and then like immediately send it to the social team
Oh, wow. So they
like
were
through
on it.
Slack, and then
Yeah.
they would just take it, edit it, repurpose it, and then post it on their stories or
Yeah.
their social channels.
And that's how they do it so fast.
Yeah, exactly. So like I literally had like a little dongle. I'd pull my SD card out and then put it into my phone directly, download it, and send it.
Oh,
And we had like a
wow.
private Wi-Fi to connect. It was cool. It was definitely a great experience. It was very stressful for sure. Just like it's very fast paced.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
you have to make sure you get all the shots too.
yeah, and I was driving. I'd be up from Tucson like every other week.
Oof.
Like luckily my dad's here, so I'd just stay with him for a night or something,
Right.
or come the night before or whatever it might be.
How
But
long is that drive?
like an hour and a half, 2 hours.
Oh,
So it's not too bad,
not
but
too bad.
like
But still, to have to do it every week.
yeah, sometimes I'd wake up early and then drive directly to the stadium. It was like a 2-hour drive to the stadium, or after the games I'd drive. Usually after the games I'd be so exhausted I'd stay. Um, but yeah, it was exhausting.
Yeah, to
for
then
sure.
drive back to Tucson. Oof.
Yeah, especially like the weekends where it's like back to back home games and stuff
Yeah.
like that. But because we only did the home games.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was fun. It was a good experience for sure.
Man. No, I
Made me want to realize that I do not want to do sports photography.
Yeah, and
live
it's
action sports photography.
and that's funny. Live action.
Live action. Yeah.
Yeehaw. I was gonna say, I think it's interesting that like you say that, because I was gonna ask you if like doing both the Las Vegas experience and having the Arizona Cardinals experience, um, what did that show you about what you want to do versus like what you don't want to do? Like, what are those things that you don't want to do? Like, like, is that you don't see yourself like living that life? Is that like, was that clear after you had those experiences? Like, that was fun, but wouldn't do that for the rest of my life.
The Vegas thing, not so much though, because there's still like a very, day to day normal aspect. Like I was still in the office like 9 to 5 every day. And like there's definitely a lot of creativity within like these campaigns and stuff that they put together, and like PR packages and stuff like that. And I thought that was very insightful. The NFL was more just like we were kind of there like grunts doing the hard work, not getting
Yeah.
paid a lot. Like, oh, I get
That's
the
why that
NFL on
sucks.
my resume. Like that's crazy. Like if I were to like do that sort of thing, like I would want to be like on a team's creative team, like on like the
Yeah.
digital team for one of the teams,
Not just employed by the NFL type.
Yeah, no, like not just there to like shoot game day. Like I'd rather be shooting like other stuff, like more like behind the scenes, like stuff like that.
League
Just
fits.
yeah, stuff like and that's like that was my most shared thing, was just because I didn't even have the right equipment to do the like live stuff, like all the game day stuff, like them walking in, like the players would come up to you and they're like, "Oh, bro, like you gotta send me this right now," like, and we were specifically told not to do it. But like, what are you gonna tell a NFL player? Sorry, I can't do that. Obviously, I sent them, and like there was some teams that or some players that were like, they just like become your homie, and they like, oh, you got me, you got you, bro. Like, get the photos, and
That's funny.
there's a photo of me next to some player, and he's just like looking at my camera, and I'm all like smiling, giddy. It was pretty cool. It was a cool experience.
Bro, it's like he sees you before the game. It's like, yo, bro, second quarter.
Yo, you got that
Yeah.
shit, dude? You
Yeah.
got that? I'm like, yeah, dude. Give me a sec. I'll send it to you.
It goes back, scrolls back in the
Yeah,
feed, just like, yeah, check it out.
it was pretty cool.
So then after, these trials and tribulations, I guess, trying to find your final direction, and we kind of touched on it earlier. It went into like COVID times, and then you ended up finding your way into the cannabis space.
Mm-hmm.
So how like how is the cannabis industry different from any other industry that you worked in?
It's just like very, 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 very regulated.
Yeah.
So like marketing as a whole is completely different than like any other job you could do. Uh It's cool though, because it's definitely a new industry where not a lot of people know about it, and everything is changing so quickly and so fast. Like, it makes you kind of stand on your toes and allows you to be that kind of trailblazer, at least from a marketing perspective. Like, to this day, like, we do certain campaigns and certain, social stuff that you see other brands copy, like,
Yeah.
blatantly. Like, it's so similar to what we're putting out.
Yeah.
And it's nice to be like that person who's I guess
Setting the standard, yeah.
exactly. Like, we were the ones that came up with it, and at the end of the day, people get a little upset, like, oh my god, they're copying me, but like copying and like mimicking is like supposed to be like the greatest form of flattery. So like
100%.
like
Couldn't have
don't
said
take it
better
personal. Like,
myself.
if you're doing something right, that's why people are also doing it.
Right.
So
For sure. And that goes for anything. I feel like with anybody listening to this, if you're doing something, and even if that's like setting a trend, like with your fashion, or if you're doing something with your company that's innovative and you find other people copy you because it's a good idea, take it as a compliment, because that's, like David said, the highest form of flattery. That's mimicking and copying,
and you
whatever.
got you
Yeah.
got
So
you got more important shit to focus on than
yeah.
worrying about what other people think. So
Yeah, and it's like if you're out here getting copied, then just like keep innovating so that
Mhm.
way they have more stuff to copy.
Exactly.
Not showing your cards and stuff like that too early, and like I think there's like strategy to kind of like revealing stuff, and
Mhm.
so that way by the time they copy it, you're already on your next stuff. You know
On
what
to
I'm
the next
saying?
one. Yes, sir. You already know.
So smoking weed is uh a topic.
Yeah, it definitely is a topic. We enjoyed that quite a bit.
So Arizona is a medical and recreational state. Um, so we work together at a cannabis company, and we used to regularly, partake,
Indulge a
indulge.
little bit, just a little, maybe
Um,
more than a little.
but I know as of recently, for the past 6 months,
5-ish, yeah.
5 months, you haven't smoked.
No, nothing, nada.
And I think we talked about this. It's kind of funny that you work for a cannabis company,
Yeah.
but do not
The
smoke
amount of weed that I get
for free
for
and can't even
free.
smoke.
But hey,
Hey,
I
it's all
give
good.
it to all the homies, and
Yeah,
they give me shit, so it
that's the
works
way
out.
to do it.
Little tradesies.
That's the way to do it.
Yeah.
But I was gonna talk about how cannabis affects mental health,
Yeah.
and how it can potentially be negative.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I mean, I was smoking pretty much every day for like 7 to 8 years. Well, not necessarily every day.
Yeah.
Pretty damn close.
Yeah.
Like, give or take the first couple years, maybe not every single day, but I mean, when we were at that job together, I'd be waking up, I'd be coming home and taking like a dab, and I'd get so high that I'd fall asleep at like 8 or 8:30. Then I'd wake up at 5 and could not go back to sleep.
In the morning, yeah.
Take another bong rip, get in like a bath, take a shower or something, and then like fall back to sleep, and then go into the office. And then, we would, hit the Puffco or whatever we
All
would
day.
do. And it's just a lot. Like, it was fun for sure, but I think I just got to the point where I didn't even know, Like, I didn't have control of my own mind, so it just got to the point where, like, I don't know, I was just having, like, really bad anxiety and, like, panic attacks, like, when I wasn't high, which is the thing.
Yeah.
So it just got to the point where it's like, I don't even know how to and like, the anxiety started coming, I don't know, like, 4 years ago, and I kinda was just like, "Oh, it's just 'cause, I'm graduating college, I don't know what to do, blah, blah, blah." Kinda made, like, a shift there and didn't ever stop smoking weed, and then it kinda just, like, ebbed and flowed, it kept coming back and then it would, like, get less and less, and then, spike up again depending on what was going on.
Yeah.
Um but it just got to the point where that was the one thing I never cut out, and then the anxiety came back, and it was pretty bad again, and I think it just, like, narrowed down to, like, I didn't have control of my own mind, let alone, like, using a mind-altering substance,
Right.
and it just became, like, so habitual at that point, like, it wasn't like, "Oh, I'm just trying to, like, smoke with the homies." It was like I'd come home, smoke weed, like
Yeah.
and then, like, I'd leave the house if I was a little high, and, like, I'd be all paranoid, and, like, that paranoia, like, translated over to, like, when I wasn't high.
Yeah. The anxiety.
Yeah, and I would just, like, constantly be, like, so in my head, like, it just got to the point, like, the breaking point, I just, like, had to stop. Like, I just, like, maybe this is what's causing it.
Yeah. And it's
So,
it's interesting because people talk about how it's not addictive and yeah, but
mentally,
it's
it's
like a
mentally
one of those
addictive.
like yes, but,
Yes.
it's like yes, but mentally you
Yeah.
crave it. And
Yeah.
it's not and it's like you could call that an addiction.
Mhm.
And I think that's something that a lot of people need to just be
Oh,
real with themselves about,
yeah, be aware of it.
because sometimes it's like it's one of those things that, like, if I don't bring attention to it, it's not real.
Mhm.
If I don't call it an addiction, it's not.
Yeah.
But it's just like call it what it is and be real with yourself. And it's like if it's affecting you negatively,
Should probably
stop.
stop. Yeah.
And it's just like I think that's super important, especially now when weed is just
So
so
readily
strong,
available.
so readily available, but so strong too.
Yeah.
So it's a
Oh, yeah.
lot easier to get like messed up. You know
Oh,
what I
for
mean?
sure.
So it's just like super easy to like get anxiety from smoking because of these like super high concentrated THC levels, people taking dabs now, especially people that don't smoke taking dabs and like
Mhm.
those types of things. I think it's like it's cool that like it's progressed so much and I'm a big advocate for medical and recreational cannabis, always have been, always will be, but it's like I think with anything there needs to be moderation.
For sure.
And,
Knowing your limits, for sure.
absolutely, and
Yeah.
it's like, I'm so happy that, like, you're at a place mentally that you feel like you don't need to smoke,
Mhm.
and you also have been able to combat this anxiety that you used to have, and you've been to therapy
Yeah.
for mental health issues that you've had that you've been able to work through while being completely sober,
Yeah.
and I think that's
Well,
some
still
well,
drinking a
still
little
a little
bit.
drinking, but well, like, not smoking, which I
Yeah.
feel like that's, like, the biggest thing, and it's not like and when you drink, it's like you're not drinking to get
No, I don't
drunk every
no.
time, and
No,
it's
no,
like you're
no.
not drinking every day, and it's like occasional based
Casual social drinking,
cat
yeah.
exactly, so it's not like you're not getting messed up to the point where, like, you were when you were smoking.
Yeah, because I was smoking multiple times a day.
Right.
Like, just at that point, it was just, something I needed to change. I'd much rather not be smoking weed than have, like, that internal freak out every day. Like, you wake
Yeah.
up and you're just like, "Oh, shit. Like, here we go
Absolutely.
again."
Absolutely, and, tying back to therapy as well,
Yeah,
that's something that I've never experienced, but, the more that I, like, hear other people going through it and, like, the benefits that people get through it, I wanna know more about it, I wanna learn more, and, can you just kinda talk about, like, how much it's helped you and why it's been beneficial?
for sure. Like, I was never a therapy person. I never went to therapy until, like, recently, and I was always like, "Oh, I need to go," like, when the anxiety first started happening, but I was just like, "Ah, I don't need it. Like, I'll
Yeah.
be fine." And I think, like, the big part is, like, yeah, there's a lot of therapists out there that are just kinda there to check the box. Like, I went through a couple till I found the right person. But it's funny because obviously there's, like, different types. The type I did was, like, CBT, which is, like, cognitive behavioral therapy. And essentially all it is just, like, retraining your brain to, like, think a certain way. Because like, you go into these notions where you're like, "I'm gonna freak out," or, "This is gonna happen," like, and you just start spiraling, and it doesn't do you any justice. And a lot of it is just, like, the biggest thing is just, like, talking to you as if you're, like, your best friend. Like, if you were, like, feeling uncomfortable, what would your best friend say to you? And just kinda, like, retraining your brain on, like, how to think. And it sounds so silly, and even the therapist is like, it's so silly just to talk about, but like, trust me, like, you just need to continue to tell yourself these sorts of things. And obviously, too, like, their main goal is for you to be your own therapist, like that, or at least the one that I went to. Like, he was like, I'm here to help you and do whatever like whatever I need to do, so like you don't have to come to me anymore.
Yeah.
And I think too, like, a lot of the times, like, people associate therapy with like something negative happening. And I mean, obviously, I haven't been in a while, but I think like you should still be talking to someone that isn't like your friend or your family, even when things are going well. Like, 'cause you don't want to just be there when something's wrong. Like, you want to be there to talk through other issues that are happening or had happened in your past, or something that's like in your subconscious that you don't necessarily know about, that you can address when things are going well. So I was never a really big therapy advocate, but now it's expensive, yes, but it's definitely worth it.
It's been
sure.
beneficial for
Oh,
you.
100%.
Yeah, and it's interesting because that's I think a good way to put it, like kind of being almost like proactive versus like being reactive when something
Mhm.
goes
Oh,
wrong,
yeah.
then going to therapy.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like going to therapy as like a proactive action to reduce the chances of you getting to the point where it's like you know.
Mhm.
Um and that's interesting because I think a lot of people struggle with that, like, altogether, like, even when it comes to, like, going to the doctor.
Yeah, because they don't wanna it, like, makes you feel weak or, like, something like that, or they're just scared, like, they're just
People
scared
have,
of
like yeah,
going.
like,
Yeah.
even myself, like, I feel
I need to
like, I
go
don't yeah, I
get a
need to go to the like,
checkup,
I don't
dude.
go
It's
for
been, like, 2
checkups, you
years,
know, like, I don't go for
like
checkups, and, it's been a while, and, like, the last time I've been to the doctor, it was, like, I went because I was, like, running out of insurance because I was, like, finally gonna go self-employed,
Yeah.
and, I was running out of my benefits from my last full-time job that I had, so I was like, "Well, let me go ahead and use up all my health benefits that I have," so I did, like, full blood panel tests and, like, full physical and all that stuff, so which was, like, 8 months ago, but that was, like, the first time in, like, 3, 4 years,
I
you
really
know?
need
It's
to
just
do
like,
that, dude.
dude, like which is crazy, like, that we do that because especially as we get older.
I hate the doctor.
Yeah, I don't really like the
It's just
doctor either, bro.
uncomfortable.
Yeah, I mean, I like the doctor telling me
You're okay?
I'm good.
Yeah,
That's a
but
good
you don't
feeling,
wanna hear,
but
"I'm
I don't
not
wanna hear
good, I'm
some
not."
bad
I
news.
know.
I think that's my fear.
Yeah, I think that's a lot of people's
Yeah,
fears.
which is I don't know, maybe that's a bad thing.
No, I think that's
I think
pretty
that's a bad
I
thing.
think it's pretty normal. I think that's
But it's
human.
like but it's also like, there could be something happening that I should
True.
probably know
No,
about.
yeah, 100%.
But,
But
hey,
feeling that way is very normal.
the body is, I think, very strong though, and, I think there's a lot of times your body will let you know
Oh, for
when
sure.
it's just like, "Hey, dude,
Something's off.
yeah,
We don't like you. Me no like
me
you.
no likey, take me to docky."
Oh, yeah.
No, man, yeah, I feel like recently therapy has come into the light, I guess, because a lot of people are bringing a little bit more attention to like going to therapy, especially in like the celebrity space, like with Jonah Hill.
Yeah. Oh,
You
that
know,
was
like how
such a
Jonah
good
Hill
show.
did that.
Stutz.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
exactly. The
good.
Stutz on
I
Netflix.
straight up cried while I was watching that. It was so good.
It's powerful, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like there's a lot of things, and it's almost like because I watched it, and it was almost like you having a therapy session.
And that's when I needed the most too, which was
Yeah.
crazy. That
Which is probably why it kind of like broke a little bit
yeah,
too.
dude. I was like,
Yeah.
holy shit, this is exactly what I need to hear
Hitting
right
right where
now.
yeah.
Yeah, I was like, oh my god, dude.
Yo, yeah, it was
Yeah.
yeah, dude. If anyone hasn't seen that, go check that out.
Stutz.
Stutz, Jonah Hill.
Netflix.
Yeah, the black and white. I feel like it's so artistic. It looks so cool.
Yeah, it was awesome.
But yeah, recently therapy has like come into the light, and I think it's probably good for the world that more people are like
Especially with
going to
COVID too.
therapy, and yeah, for sure.
I think there was like a spike just because, people are locked in their homes and stuff
Yeah.
like that. Kind of makes it go crazy a little bit.
Yeah, there's probably a lot of cases of like depression and anxiety that like developed over the case
Yeah.
of
If that's the case, you should get outside. At least go somewhere once a day.
for sure. Yeah, just
It'll help because if you start staying inside all day and don't go anywhere, it definitely fucks you up a little bit.
yeah. Would you say? I mean, you don't meditate, do you?
I try, but
You tried?
no, not like you.
Wait, man, no,
I
I don't.
need to. I have the Calm app, and
Hell yeah.
I was trying to do it, but I could try a little harder, to be honest with you.
Hey, man. Well, I was talking about this with Casey. I think it's like, people get in like the mindset of like, I'm bad at this.
No.
Well, like,
Yeah.
well, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm not
But
good
it's
at
just like,
meditating.
but it's like I'm not good at meditating. But it's just like,
There's no definition of it.
if there's no definition, it's just like you just are.
Yeah.
You are or you aren't. You aren't good or bad. You just are or you aren't or you are not.
There's like no right way to meditate. You
Exactly.
just do what works for you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's just like the art of meditation can come in many forms. You know, some people do mantra based. You know, some people just work on breath work.
Yeah.
Some people just focus on like clearing their mind, which I don't necessarily say clear your mind because it's really hard to do that.
Mhm.
I think there always should be some sort of focus point, whether that be focusing on your breath
I think that's it. Like most of it comes down to like that. I feel like
and like scanning. Like for instance, like this is a good practice, like a visualization technique is to kind of like feel what it feels like on the top of your head and like visualize there's something like right above your head
Mhm.
and then feel what that energy feels like and then just kind of follow it down all like through your body and like through your throat, and as you're breathing in follow that breath and you can literally like start to feel like feelings through your body, and you can kind of just follow it down to your feet, then to the ground, and then back up, and like focusing on that. And whenever you're getting caught up in your mind, like with thoughts, when you get distracted, just recognize that you got distracted and then come back to that
Mhm.
routine.
100%.
So, and it's just like, and that's all it is. And it's just like the act of recognizing when you get distracted. I think that's when the real benefits of meditation come through,
Mhm.
because you recognizing that you're distracted is the art of meditation.
Yeah.
So it's just like, yeah, man, I think that's something that can like benefit anybody, you know. And it's just like if you're watching this and you're interested in meditation, just what I always say is just try to do like 5 minutes.
At least. Yeah, just
5
5 minutes
minutes.
is perfect amount of time.
And it's just like not very much time. Do it before bed or right after you wake up. I like to do it in the morning, followed by a stretch, because then it feels really good. And that kind of just sets you up for a clear mind. But man, like that paired with therapy, I feel like
Help
there's
your
just like
mind.
some cheat codes,
Yeah,
man, to
dude.
life.
Do
You know
those
what I'm
cheat
saying?
codes.
So going into, I guess, your current work and kind of tying back to like your careers.
Yeah.
Sunday Goods, The Pharm,
Mhm.
Arizona-based brand, one of the biggest brands in Arizona. Sunday Goods is technically like the second biggest grower, or are they number one now?
No, so the farm, I specifically work with the farm, which is like our wholesale side
Right.
of things
But
and our
it's
brand.
in the arm of
So Sunday Goods is
Goods.
our retail stores. So we have 2 retail stores, and then the farm is like our grow house and our wholesale brand. So it's technically the farms,
So
like
the
the
farm
big
owns Sunday Goods. Sunday Goods
technically,
doesn't own
technically,
the
yeah.
farm.
Yeah. So,
Oh.
yeah, the farm actually was just announced to be the number 1 cannabis brand in Arizona in equivalent unit sales. So essentially,
What does that mean?
we've sold the most like we in units sold as opposed to like dollar value. So we're creeping up there.
Wow.
So we've sold the most units of any brand in the state of Arizona through January through April, I believe. So the data is like kind of like a month or two back, just because they have to backtrack it. So there's a system called BDSA, which is like the hub for all information where it comes to cannabis, as far as like sales, top brands, SKUs, flavor profiles, strains, all that kind of stuff.
You
So
said BDSM?
BDSA.
Oh.
Relax. Relax. Liquid death over here, bro. You need your enema or whatever, bro. Travis Barker. The Travis Barker enema. Now available. I had to look that
But
up.
man, the fucking farm. The farm is number one over
Some big brands.
A big brand that shall not be named.
Yes.
But that's amazing, dude.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a really big feat because Arizona is a really competitive industry.
For sure, especially with all these California brands and all these big MSOs coming up and buying stuff out. And as a company too, like our main goal right now is just focusing on the wholesale aspect. Like our retail stores will do great, we'll be fine. But it's just like, how can we expand our wholesale efforts? And there's not a lot of brands out there that have what we have, which is like we have a 300,000 square foot Dutch greenhouse. There's one other brand that has a greenhouse in Arizona. So
levels to this shit, man.
Exactly. Like we have a great product. We know we get those margins because we are directly growing it. And we can just provide for a lot of brands. So we're just trying to expand. I don't know if there's any plans to expand out of state. But right now it's just kind of tackling here.
Yeah.
I think a lot of these brands are like so focused on expansion that they kind of lose touch because they're so worried about going elsewhere instead of dealing with their their main markets. So
and that kind of goes back to what we were saying at the beginning, one by one, tackling that, like just like tackling the industry that's close first before you try to go everywhere.
And just like with the laws and everything like that, like you technically can't, like if you're gonna sell weed in another state, it has to be grown in that state,
right?
So
and
a lot
have
of
a separate license in that state.
So most of these brands that come from other states, it's just basically they partner with someone like us specifically, and we just use our product and use their branding. It's like white label.
Which is so funny.
Exactly.
A lot of y'all are getting tricked. Thinking you're smoking something else.
Read your labels.
It always says it on there. Yeah. So to kind of wrap up, man, what's something you want to bring attention to? What you got going on with the farm? What you guys got coming out soon? Anything you can bring light to in your personal passions that you got happening? What's happening, bro?
Big things coming for the farm. Probably, I don't even know if this episode will be out by then, but Go Skate Day 2021.
It will not be out by then.
No, it won't be, but you can always look back on it.
Yes.
June 21st, also your boy's day of birth.
Yes.
We actually partnered up with a local homie, Amias, goods.ag on Instagram if you want to check it out. And we did a custom pool ashtray with the farm logo on it, 3D scanned from this pool that we used to skate, local
sick.
pool. We wanted to do the campaign shoot there. However, the owner of the house is finally building, so not possible. But cool campaign there. Cannabis and skate culture, always a really, really big thing. Other than that, I don't know, man. Just kind of grinding. We got big Halloween plans and just kind of focusing on the year as a whole. This is our year, we just launched a rebrand. This is our year to kind of, gain market share and put out cool shit. Like our high bowl, like our tailgate kit, and just continuing to do fun stuff like that. We have something huge for Halloween coming out. I'm going to be doing some drive-through activations as well. So stay tuned on that. Other than that, personally, want to start taking more photos and do more passion projects.
Dude. I would love to help you do that too.
Yeah. Remember when we had the YouTube channel, bro?
Yes, dude, let's bring it back.
I don't know why we stopped.
Let's bring it back, dude. I'm so down, bro.
We get free Philly cheesesteaks for life.
Dude, yes.
But yeah, other than that, just gonna kind of take it easy this summer. I'm going to Cabo, going to Mexico, gonna get some rays. Never been to Cabo, so it should be fun.
Go to that arch, bro.
Yep. Oh yeah, 100%. I think I'm gonna bring my T2.
Nice,
but I'm not bringing the Leica or anything like that.
What film are you gonna bring? Some Portra?
I got some Ultramax, some gold, maybe. I don't know. Whatever works.
You hipster.
Yeah, but yeah, dude, just kind of be kicking it, taking it a day at a time.
Cool, man.
Get out of this heat and back to the nice weather.
Well, man, thank you so much for coming on Mars, bro.
Appreciate it.
Everybody go follow David online at YoAmDave on Instagram. Follow the farm at the farm AZ.
Farm underscore AZ.
Farm underscore AZ.
Yes,
and
sir.
you probably have to search the whole thing because of shadow banning in the cannabis industry.
They be
type
like
that thing out.
Yes, sir.
Check out what he's got going on. Follow at On Mars Pod at Harry Mars underscore. Thank you so much, David, for coming, bro.
Appreciate
My dog.
it, brother.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you.
Let's go get some lunch. Follow, subscribe, like. Love you guys. See you next time. Hey guys, thank you so much for tuning in and watching this episode of the On Mars Pod and for sticking around to the end, man. I really appreciate you guys. You are the real Martians. Like this video, comment below what your favorite part was, what was most inspiring to you. Subscribe to the channel, hit that bell for notifications here on future interviews coming out soon. And also follow us on Instagram at On Mars Pod. Love you guys so much. We'll see you next time on Mars. You know. Yes. Sleepy.
Live action.
Yeah.
Yeehaw.
Yeehaw.